From Synozur, this is Polaris. I'm Chris McNulty. For over 30 years, Microsoft has led the world in workplace digital collaboration. First with their Office suite, evolving over time into enterprise packages like E3 and E5. Over the past 4 years, that collaboration has been rewoven to include generative AI and AI agents. Today, we'll look at Microsoft's latest announcement about the future of human collaboration and digital workers. What have they announced? What does this do for you this year? And where is all of it headed? This is Polaris. Welcome to Polaris Pulse. I'm your host, Chris McNulty, Chief Technology Officer at Synozur. Synozur, the transformation company, reimagines business for our clients, navigating strategies and leadership culture with ease. It's Tuesday, March 24th. Today's episode is not focused on March Madness or baseball spring training. Today, we're taking a deeper look at the latest Microsoft 365 and Copilot news. This month, Microsoft dropped some major announcements that will reshape enterprise tech. We're talking about the debut of Microsoft 365 E7, their brand new frontier suite that bundles AI and security like never before. Also, the introduction of Agent 365 and Copilot Cowork. But first, let's define our terms and our data points. As usual, our reading list and references will be included in the show notes. We've all seen an explosion of AI assistants in the past couple of years. Ever since large language models like OpenAI's GPT stormed into the workplace, it seems that every tech company has rolled out its own Copilot for something. Microsoft has embedded Copilot across Office apps, Teams, GitHub, security, and more. Google has GEMs, OpenAI has GPTs, and other competitors have brought their AI agents together. If you've seen the whimsical TV ads with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson for Salesforce, you've heard of Agentforce, even if you don't know what it means. Yet. Meanwhile, countless startups continue to launch niche bots for everything from code generation to customer service. The result? Many knowledge workers now have multiple AI agents at their fingertips every day. And it's easier than ever for even the casual worker to create their own agents. An employee might find themselves jumping back and forth between ChatGPT, M365 Copilot, Agentforce, and more. It promises big productivity gains, but it also creates new headaches and a new class of problems to manage. In our year-end 2025 report, Synozur talked about agent sprawl, the uncontrolled proliferation of AI agents across an organization without centralized oversight, the AI equivalent of shadow IT. Most agent management today is cut and paste. If you're jumping between Copilot, ChatGPT, Perplexity, etc., that's a messy process. And if you think it's hard to keep that straight on the user side, imagine the challenges for IT of needing to manage more and more and more platforms on the back end. Something needs to change, and in fact, something has. We're going to dive into those announcements in just a minute. Okay, let's go. So our news begins with a story about how 4 adds up to 7. March was one of those months where Microsoft didn't just release features, they made a set of announcements that all fit together about licensing, AI, security, and governance. Together, they tell a very clear story about where Microsoft believes enterprise AI is headed next. This is not our prediction episode. This is a recap of the actual announcements Microsoft made. What's shipping, what's in preview, and why it matters if you're running Microsoft 365. So let's start with the biggest news. On March 9th, Microsoft officially announced Microsoft 365 E7. This is the first new top-tier Microsoft 365 enterprise plan since E5 launched in 2015. That's more than a 10-year gap. So let's explain a few things for those of you who are not familiar with Microsoft packaging history. Shocking? Yes. Back in the before cloud days, Microsoft got their whole collaboration suite running when they put together Word, PowerPoint, and Excel into a combination they called Office. It wasn't clear why did the word processing department and accounting and marketing all need the same software bundle. But over time, and with more applications, it became second nature. Microsoft moved their collaboration to the cloud in earnest to create their original collaboration suite. Their first one was called E1, predominantly web versions of their software, quickly followed by E3, which combined Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook with SharePoint and Exchange, as well as their chat environment, first Link and then Teams. A few years after that, they created another bundle on top of E3 called E5. They took all of E3, they added advanced security and compliance with Purview, Power BI for data visualization, and enhanced phone support for Teams meetings with dial-in numbers. And although it may not have been clear why security and business intelligence and phone calls belonged in the same product, it's also become accepted. E5 is the basis for what is coming together now in E7. E7 combines all of E5 with Microsoft 365 Copilot, Agent 365, and the full Entra Identity and Access Management Suite. 4 product lines coming together to make E7. That's why I said 4 equals 7. Microsoft is branding E7 as the Frontier Suite, and that name is doing a lot of work. Just as we've seen the word Copilot pop up everywhere, Frontier has become the term of art for industries and organizations that are at the forefront of transforming digital collaboration. E7 is positioned for organizations that want to operationalize AI across the business, not just test it and pilot it, but actually run with it. At a base level, E7 includes everything in E5: Office, Teams, SharePoint, security and compliance, analytics, and voice. On top of that, Microsoft brings in its most advanced AI and identity capabilities. So that means Microsoft 365, Agent 365, the full Entra suite, and the highest tiers of Defender, Intune, and Purview. Also, can we talk a bit about that word frontier? In 2025, Jared Spataro at Microsoft positioned leading organizations that used AI at the forefront of all their operations as frontier firms. It was a whimsical way to suggest innovation, along with the throwback to the Wild West of the 19th century. Now, with E7 being called the Frontier Suite, I do wonder if the word frontier is going to be one of those words that you look at in 10 years and say, gosh, that product must have come out in 2025. The same way that iMac and iEverything dominated product naming 20 years ago at the rise of the internet era. The message here is very simple and very deliberate. AI capability and enterprise trust are no longer separable. E7 becomes generally available on May 1st, 2026, priced at $99 per user per month. That number is already sparking some debate, and it should. But Microsoft has been clear about its logic. Bought separately, the components cost more. E7 is the bundle. Whether customers like that answer, we'll see. But the strategy is unmistakable. And Microsoft is making it crystal clear that security is not a luxury when it comes to AI. Now, one of the most important pieces of E7 is also the easiest to underestimate: Agent 365. What is it? It's Microsoft's response to agent sprawl. As AI adoption accelerates, organizations deploy more and more agents, copilots, custom assistants, workflow bots, third-party models. Without controls, that becomes the next generation of shadow IT. Agent 365 creates a single control plane where AI agents can be registered, identified, permissioned, monitored, audited, and shut down if necessary. Each agent gets its own identity through Entra ID. Policies apply, access is governed, activity is visible. This matters because it gives CIOs and CISOs something they need right now: the ability to say yes to AI innovation without losing control of their environments. Agent 365 will also be generally available on May 1st. It's included with the E7 and available as a standalone add-on for other plans. That timing is not accidental. Microsoft is pairing autonomy with governance by design. March also brought what Microsoft calls the third major wave of Copilot. The headline feature here: Copilot Cowork. Up until now, Copilot is mostly reactive. You ask a question, you get an answer. Copilot Cowork introduces long-running, multi-step collaboration. Instead of answering once and stopping, Copilot can work across documents, apps, and time, checking in as it goes. Microsoft describes this as Copilot evolving from an assistant into a digital coworker. It's an important shift, but first, a quick reality check. Copilot Cowork is currently in private preview. available only through Microsoft's invite-only Frontier program. This is not something you can turn on broadly today, but it gives us a view of where Microsoft thinks this is going. Alongside this, Copilot is becoming model diverse. Originally, Copilot ran exclusively on OpenAI models. Now it can dynamically select from multiple models, including Anthropic, depending on the task. That gives Microsoft flexibility, and it gives customers resilience. Beyond the big AI headlines, March included a set of practical updates users will notice day to day. In Microsoft Teams, Copilot's intelligent recap now connects context across multiple meetings. Not just what happened today, but what's been decided over time. Copilot can also summarize long Teams chat threads into structured insight or tables. If you've ever tried to catch up on a 100-message channel, this one matters. On the employee communications side, Viva Engage received a redesigned article experience, richer layouts, better formatting, accessibility improvements built in. And on the governance side, Microsoft Purview introduced several quiet but critical updates. DLP policies now apply to Copilot. Sensitivity labels flow into Viva Engage communities. And new AI-driven security posture tools are entering preview. These updates answer one of the most common enterprise questions I hear. How do we make sure AI respects our data boundaries? And finally, at the start of the month, during the 25th anniversary of SharePoint, Microsoft President Jeff Teper introduced SharePoint Skills. What are skills? They're custom markdown files that you introduce around Copilot to help steer it and give it standing instructions about how to respond to the most common tasks and what kind of outputs you like. You can specify how you want Copilot to respond to requests about writing style, or if you're generating a comparison between two documents, what matters and what doesn't. No two people have the same needs, and this helps each person make sure that Copilot runs exactly the way they need it to, using common documentation rather than elaborate coding. So what does this all add up to? Microsoft is tightening the connection between AI capability, identity, and governance. They are no longer shipping AI features in isolation, they're bundling them with the controls required to deploy them. Whether organizations adopt E7 immediately or not, the direction is clear. AI is now a first-class enterprise workload. We'll be right back. Up next on Polaris, events. 2026 is already shaping up as a very busy year for events. Here's what we're watching. The M365 Community Conference. This is April 21st to 23rd at the Lowe's Sapphire Falls in Orlando, Florida. The AI/IM Summit, hosted by the Association for Intelligent Information Management. This will be April 28th to 30th at the Hyatt Regency Inner Harbor in Baltimore, Maryland. TechCon 365 Chicago. This will be held June 15th through 19th at McCormick Place in Chicago, Illinois. We'll have details on all of that and more in our show notes and the Synozur blog. You can learn more at synozur.com/events, and we'll add more events throughout the year. And if you have an upcoming event you'd like us to promote on Polaris, please get in touch and we'd be happy to include it. I'd like to wrap up with a personal reflection. About 6 years ago, when I was still at Microsoft and we were working on Project Cortex and Viva and Syntex and a number of other premium capabilities that went into things like Teams Premium, I was part of some of the internal discussions about enterprise licensing, debates about whether we should bundle everything into E7 or whether we should unbundle. The decision we made then was to optimize for customer choice, to allow customers to pick exactly what they need so they only purchased what they needed and didn't need to purchase things in a suite that they may not have been using. We made the decision to let the pendulum swing as far as we could towards unbundling, to allow customers an a la carte way of purchasing software. So they only purchase the things they need, and they don't purchase the things they don't need. At the time, Microsoft's senior vice president of marketing observed that it was definitely one end of the pendulum, and he expected at some point in the next 10 years, we would let things go the other way and turn things into a single way to buy everything that you need. And that day has come. Customers want flexibility. They want choice. But AI is not behaving like traditional software. It doesn't operate in a vacuum. It operates in conjunction and connection to the rest of your enterprise suite. It crosses systems, it compounds risk, and it rewards coherence. So E7 doesn't feel like a reversal of the work we did in 2020. It's really the next swing of the pendulum, responding to the new reality. Enterprise strategy isn't about being right forever. It's about being right for the moment. And this moment demands intelligence and trust together. Next time on Polaris, I'll be sitting down with Andrew Connell, known around the world as a pioneer in software development for SharePoint and Microsoft. We'll be taking a look at AI-assisted software development, vibe coding, the good, the bad, the ugly. I expect a spirited discussion about how it's changing expectations for software purchase, investment decisions, and business leadership. I've produced nearly 1 million lines of code in the past 12 months with help from AI, so don't miss this one. Well, that's a wrap for another episode. I'd like to thank you for spending your time with us today. We encourage you to check out our show page for links to everything we talked about today and more. Visit us at polaris.synozur.com. Send us your questions and feedback for the Synozur team. You can reach us via email at polaris@synozur.com. Remember to subscribe, rate, review, and tell all your friends about the show. And follow us wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Polaris is produced with help from Riverside FM. Our theme song, Alternative Dream, is provided courtesy of Adobe. Additional music and sound provided by Indie Guy Records. Graphic design by Josh Brantley. Thanks for listening. I'm Chris McNulty, and this has been Polaris, a show that charts the course for business and technology transformation from Synozur. Learn more at synozur.com. See you next time. Keep following your North Star.